World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
This is World News in 5 here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. The United States has called on its ally Israel to address the catastrophic conditions of Palestinian civilians in the war-torn Gaza Strip and to allow the smooth flow of humanitarian aid deliveries in the enclave. Speaking at the United Nations Security Council meeting, U.S. Representative to the UN Linda Thomas-Greenfield stresses that the predicted catastrophic conditions of civilians in Gaza must be changed now, urging Israel to take urgent steps such as slashing the number of restrictions in the aid deliveries. She also commented on the recent Israeli order for northern Gazans to evacuate by saying that there must be no demographic or territorial change in the Palestinian enclave and that civilians must be able to return to communities to rebuild. The UN Security Council held the meeting a year after the October 7 attack of Hamas militants in southern Israel sparked the Gaza war. It also comes as Israel reportedly told Palestinians anew in northern Gaza to evacuate to the south. Britain's United Nations Ambassador Barbara Woodward told the Council that Israel must do much more to avoid civilian casualties and ensure the aid groups can operate safely and effectively in the enclave. Separately, French Ambassador to UN Nicolas de Rivière pointed out that humanitarian aid deliveries are being hindered and the humanitarian workers are constantly under threat. Meanwhile, Israel's envoy to UN, Daniel Danon, defended that his country imposes no restrictions on humanitarian aid, saying 82% of all requests for humanitarian coordination have been approved and implemented. He also accused the militant group Hamas of diverting aid intended for Gazans. In our news, Sudan's Rapid Support Forces or RSF leader Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo has accused Egypt of supporting the rival Sudanese army. He made the accusation as the Sudanese army led by its chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan recently gained significant advances in the 18 months of their civil war. In a recorded speech, the paramilitary leader accused Cairo of providing training and drones to the Sudanese army as well as for being involved in airstrikes against the RSF troops. He also mentioned the presence of Tigrayan, Eritrean, Azerbaijani, and Ukrainian mercenaries in the country and reiterated the accusations that Iranians also joined the war alongside the Sudanese army. Egypt's foreign ministry in a statement belied Dagalo's claims and called on the international community to ascertain the RSF leader's accusations. A civil war broke out in Sudan in April 2023 after a shared power between the Sudanese army and the RSF collapsed. Several mediation efforts have been presented in the conflict, but none of them produced significant results as the warring sides traded accusations of breaching ceasefires, committing abuses, and lacking interest in peace negotiations. And for Philippine Embassy and Consular news, the Philippine Embassy in Baghdad is urging Filipino nationals to suspend their travel to Iraq as tensions in the region remain high and flights in the country remain limited. In an advisory posted on its Facebook page, the embassy strongly advises Filipinos to avoid unnecessary travel to Iraq due to very limited and often erratic status of flights as well as the prevailing security situation in the Middle East. It also advises Filipinos already in the host country to avoid public places, monitor news, exercise extreme caution, and remain vigilant for their own safety and security. The embassy made the advisory as Israel's clashes with Iranian-supported groups in the region continued to complicate in the past weeks. The said development is feared to drag more parties into the conflict. An alert level 3 status also remains hoisted in Iraq due to internal security threats. For emergencies in Iraq, Filipinos may contact the embassy duty phone number plus 964-750-810-5240. And that is for today's edition of World News in 5 for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This is Win Peñano. Good day.
World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.